Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're going to do the prayers before the teachings a little bit. First and a half page, first and second half of the page, to cultivate formally the prayers, which makes the Bodhisattva's way of life. Bodhisattva's way of life has to have intent. And so to inject that intent in our mindfulness, we do these prayers first and then go through the teachings while maintaining the intent, while maintaining the conduct as well, because being here and paying attention, listening to the teaching is in itself one of the 10 activities of a Bodhisattva on the path. So we should rejoice each other's generosity and devotion there is. And then just being that way is already a seed that is sprouting. O fully enlightened blessed ones, Buddhas dwelling in the 10 directions, Bodhisattvas and great Bodhisattvas abiding on the 10 stages, and great Vajra holder gurus, please pay attention to me. Until gaining Buddhahood, go for refuge in Buddhas, also Dhamma and Sangha, Bodhisattva assembly, offer body also well, virtuous merits of this trade, without any attachment for the sake of all beings. As also gathers the past, give rise to bodhicitta, learn Bodhisattva's precepts and train stages in accord. For the sake of all beings, I embrace bodhicitta, and also learn to live by the precepts, stages in accord. O fully enlightened blessed Buddha, Buddhas dwelling in the 10 directions, Bodhisattvas and great Bodhisattvas abiding in the 10 stages, and great Vajrahola gurus, please pay attention to me. Until gaining Buddhahood, go for refuge in Buddhas, also Dhamma and Sangha, Bodhisattva assembly, offer body with us, virtuous merits of 3 times without any attachment, for the sake of all beings, as also gathers the powers, give rise to bodhicitta, learn Bodhisattva's precepts and train stages in accord. For the sake of all beings, I embrace bodhicitta, also learn to live by the precepts, stages in accord. O fully enlightened blessed ones, Buddhas dwelling in the 10 directions, Bodhisattvas and great Bodhisattvas abiding in the 10 stages, and great Bodhisattva gurus, please pay attention to me. Until gaining Buddhahood, go for refuge in Buddhas, also Dharma, Sangha, Bodhisattva assembly, offer body also virtuous merits of these 3 times, without any attachment for the sake of all beings, as also gathers past, give rise to bodhicitta, learn Bodhisattva's precepts and train the stages in accord. For the sake of all beings, I embrace bodhicitta, also learn to live by precepts, stages in accord. Now I have reaped life's good fruit, for I have good human life. Born in the race of the Buddhas, become indeed Buddha's child. I, from now on, at all costs, hold legacy of this race, this faultless mendicant's race, will never be polluted. In the front of guardian refuges, today I invite all beings as my guests, till they attain Sugata stages. May the gods and demigods rejoice. May the excellent Bodhicitta give birth that has not yet done so. Where it has been born, may it increase freely without degeneration. May I never part Bodhicitta, engaged in Bodhisattva's conduct. Being guided Bodhicitta's way, may I renounce all evil deeds. In the heart of Bodhisattva's mind, intend to help welfare beings. Whatever are wishes of the Lord, may all sentient beings attend them. May all beings possess happiness. May they desert all the lower realms. Bodhisattvas abiding in the 10 states, fulfill all prayers and their wishes. May they strive in all paramitas and never forget bodhicitta, and all obstructions become complete in its purity. So we are continuing reading and reflecting and try to implant a good understanding of the Bodhisattva way of life as thoughts and intent of Shantideva is being read out and rejoicingly reflected again and again. This 5th chapter is mainly to how to develop a very introspective mental attitude. What makes a bodhisattva so bent on his or her intent to benefit others is mainly guarding of his own mind, his own intent, than of wary of things externally around them, but rather of his own intent, how he must guard his mind and the discipline that will assist him to be of benefit is only if he is able to master his own mind, and particularly with the very noble intent of cherishing others, number one, and not be enslaved ever again by one's own selfishness. So therefore, Bodhisattva vows and then makes him to become employed how to stay present in recognizing his own capacity, what he's doing with his time, with his body, with his effort or energy, and therefore introspective, has a sense of being watching the watcher, and not trying to impress others as other conventional behaviors might warrant, but never mind what others think, but oneself always checking and scrutinizing one's own intent and how one relates or use one's own resources, including the very body, very feeling, very perception that one has. So we are coming here today the verse number 58. We're talking about how a bodhisattva must contemplate on the very precious, difficult to find, but if found very meaningful as a human life would have you. So therefore he goes to say how in order to do that one need to mindful that I have this very special body, life, so to speak, the supreme treasure of a human life, so long awaited, now at last attained. You're talking about how many beings actually pray to be reborn. They say, please offer a prayer to be born in a pure realm. I don't think there's a much pure realm to be waited, but at least the life that you're going to have again, may it be worthy of something to wait. And then many people wait for such, but we have obtained what we have been long waiting. Not some blessing or showered or gift from somebody else from holy, but our own many lifetimes good merit that has been banked in the safe of commonwealth of spiritual bank. So talking about we have waited to accrue the interest all this long, and now I have attained. Reflecting always thus maintain your mind. Shantideva asking himself, please, you have obtained a life that you have long invested for many lifetimes. So therefore, keep your mind to hold and to guard this life as steady as Mount Sumeru, king of mountains. Talking about having the great certitude and not having doubt about your life. And that Bodhisattva do not think his life being poor. He thinks his life is blessed, fortunate. And you can't raise your spirit if you have a lot of doubts about your own life, whether it's this or that. Don't make negative comparison of yourself with others, but make a very positive comparison, and therefore rejoice. Basically, learning to rejoice this life that you already have. If we are not able to rejoice our life, and then our usefulness to others will be limited. So if we have a good sense of respect and rejoicing our little skills, and then we are at least able to make something useful of what we value ourselves to be so. So bodhisattvas recognize his or her bodhicitta, Buddha nature in the firstly, and then give rise to the bodhicitta, and then his otherwise maybe ordinary life is made meaningful by embracing bodhicitta. So now the person who is poor once find wealth is called wealthy. So a person whose my life might be otherwise very wrought with many sufferings and problems, but once he discovered Dharma, and particularly knowingly embraced bodhicitta, must therefore make a huge positive assessment of one's life, and then be very very content with that, and try to make a vow how to make this life meaningful for the benefit of others. When vultures with their love of flesh are tugging at this body all around, small will be the joy you get from it. O mind, why are you besotted with it now? So now the bodhisattva is reflecting on what we are using this body to become. Because this body has one only inevitable thing, and that here they gives an example of that person's body will be eventually be parted from the spirit, and when that happens, this body will be the food of these hungry beings like vultures and so on, and so there will be nothing that you can say, I looked after, fed, cleansed, kept this body, prevented from doing this practice, and so on. Why you're so keen to guard something that is eventually going to be none other than either buried underground or burned in the hot oven, or in Tibet they will be fed to the maybe at least the vulture. At least it will be a good afternoon lunch. So this is why you're so keen to be slave by this body. So this is more talking about how the bodhisattva should not allow himself become slave of his senses, and only thinking of what one wants with the body and so on. Body should not become an attachment or obstacle for one's spiritual progress, but rather it should be a vehicle. And one who is attached to the body, obsessed with its appearance, its looks, its temporal kind of comfort and so on, then we become constantly just looking after something that never can be looked after. Eventually it's going to be ripped apart, and you guard this so much that it will have to its only destination is to go out the exit door to the cemetery. That's only an inevitable place it's going to go, but we are trying to prevent as it's not going to happen. So bodhisattvas who are enslaved by his sense objects, sense organs, will not be able to use that. So therefore, it's using the inevitable death and what this body will eventually happen as a positive warning or cause of positive anxiety. If the bodhisattva is putting too much time for his body, not his spiritual practices, then therefore, but here this is more like how to implant mindfulness, how to discard attachment to one's body, because eventually it is as soon as we die, our body, otherwise loved, otherwise wrapped in silks and various precious fabrics and very nice woolen and very nicely knitted pashminas and nice socks or whatever. But as soon as the spirit leaves the body, it becomes nobody. Who used to love and cuddle us wouldn't dare even come near us. so therefore, body become object of fear, anxiety, and it's only the vultures who will eat. So therefore, do not become attached to such a untenable vehicle, but rather it's more like try to make good use of it. Why, oh mind, do you protect this body, claiming it as though it were yourself? Now this Shantideva is implanting the awareness that you are not body. Body is just a vehicle. Like a jacket, just this jacket doesn't seem to such an unbuttonable jacket. So maybe we think that we have become the jacket, but actually it's none other than another layer of jacket. So it's not yourself. You and it are each separate entity. You are not the body. However, can it be of use to you? Now, this of course is a little harsh in the sense that you are not body. And you are separate from it, it will be not used to it. The main thing is people become so obsessed with the body, and they will try to protect it is preservable, as it can be protected from any harms and can therefore succeed something by keeping it. So therefore, the Bodhisattva should not think that your body is self. Body and yourself are totally two different things, and there will be no use one day. It's just like a vehicle. It's just like a jacket that's now no longer wearable. You are too big for it, or it's out of fashion. Lots of people got lots of clothes in the wardrobe. They never wear them. It's like your body is going to be out of fashion one day. Either the eyes are too bad or limbs are not working or whatever it is. So why are you so attached to this body? The reason for Shantideva saying that is notice how much his own practice is being delayed or procrastinated by worrying about my poor body. So people prioritize the body care as it is careable, and then in the meantime neglect the practices as it's okay to lose the practice, but as long as the body is preserved. But the body is not even you. It is not tenable, and so that's. The reason for that is when the Bodhisattva becomes more obsessed about his body, he's not able to selflessly work for other people because he is so worried about quite a lot of people these days, in the I think post 60 years. Just going to see the doctor, always just seeing the doctor, just always trying to see, feed, wash, clean, always that's all their time goes around just looking after the body as if. So of course that is quite conventional. People will do that. A bodhisattva should not abuse the body, but shouldn't become a burden shouldn't be burdened by this to the extent of failing to fulfill one's purpose of being born as a human being. So therefore, however can it be used to you? So it's if not used while it's fit and sound and strong and you have a say to it, at least one day there will be you have no say to it, it have say to you. They say, Lama Choedak Rinpoche says, wait until when you try to sit, your body looks falling like a rock falling down. You can't sit gently because you're so you're weak or whatever. You just fall on the seat. Wait until he said, when you get up, it's like you are uprooting the tree. He said, do you want to wait until such happens? First, you wouldn't get up. When you get up, almost like you're uprooting a tree. So do you? Then it cracks. It makes noise. You want to wait until then for the body to be employed for holy purposes? So it's talking about how to be mindful of allocating time and resources, what one do with this body, rather than overly obsessed with the body and then fail to do the good that one has long wished to do. So then Shantideva now goes even further about on this with half a dozen or more verses on how the Bodhisattva should not be deluded about the body, about the body. He says, "Why, O mind, do you protect this body, claiming it as though you were itself?" So I think we read that. Why not cling? Why not cling, O foolish mind, to something clean? A figure carved in wood or some such thing. You know? Why do you protect this and guard the unclean engine for making of impurity? So now Shantideva is coming very strong in, and says, if you really attach to some objects, then why don't you do something with clean object like wood or other statues that it at least doesn't rot, it doesn't spew or ooze some things. But he says, why you have to guard this? This is just like an engine, and if you put a nice, beautiful cloth, as soon as you put the cloth gets soiled. A beautiful food, as soon as it goes in the mouth, it will turn into gore and blood and so on. And what is not even useful for blood, it will become piss and excrement. So the body is a machine that produces these things. So why you are really protecting and attached to our body? That it is not as though the more you clean, it reeks and its breath smells so bad, and so everything that you that is associated with the body, it is fouled by the body. It is fouled by the body. So wouldn't it be nice to hold a statue or wooden figure and look at it and always look? At least it is not contaminated. So this is a kind of a very standard meditation on Shantideva's time and monastic circles in order to reduce the attachment or craving for body, as a body as an object of desire. Definitely, it is a what do you call used as a most reliable object of meditation to overcome craving and desire in the Buddhist monastic circles. Of course, Shantideva is practicing that for himself, and of course. This probably may not be a kind of material that will be read in those days by lay community, but those who are embracing the teaching needs to look at that and try to see. Shantideva is not trying to depict an untrue picture. You know? The body, from the skin down to the marrows, everything that it has is 36 various substances. All of them have their own color, have their own fluid, have their texture, and has their own smell. And so therefore, in surgery wards, you see all the surgeons and nurses, everybody's wearing things, you know. They want to see the thing, but they don't want to smell the thing. They want to touch the thing, but they don't want to feel the actual liquid or whatever. So that shows that how unpalatable it is to smell, how unpleasant it is to look, how unpleasant it is to touch. So unsubstantial, so unsolid, so unreal. So therefore, the meditation on the foulness of the body, particularly of all the 36 factors, substance, from the body hair to the head hair, all the way to the marrows, are respectively meditated on, not as a kind of kind of morbid way to do it, but try to actually study the anatomy. Most people study medicine, from nurses to specialists. That's all they're doing. They're all studying this body, and from the mucus all the way to solid bodies, bones. They understand. They're trying to learn what creates problem and what makes. They can test urine, they can test mucus, they can test stool to indicate what kind of illness there is or not. So it is all full of these various substances. So Shantideva's intention is not to fill us with some kind of self-loathing, by the way. It is just to develop detachment, to reasonable, beneficial detachment, so that we are free, we become free of some extreme obsession about the body. Of course, monastic or otherwise, whenever we can turn our mind from the point of view of monastics, it has to be. This is a kind of a way of developing distaste, unpleasant feeling, and therefore no craving or yearning for it. Reason why Shantideva says this is as a bodhisattva's practice of selflessness, serving of other sentient beings can be distracted by his or her obsession of his or her own body, and also seeking and craving and getting attached to such just as another foul object, a foul body of object, composite of objects, desiring that not out of love or compassion or care, but simply as an object to desire, is indeed an obsession. And so that is really the very gist of the message to do with this. not necessarily self-loathing, but this could be quite can be quite negative to some people who is already self-loathing themselves, and they're not really positive about themselves, and they haven't really understood the teaching very well holistically. So this is not kind of teaching for everybody to go on, particularly. I remember quite a few times when talking about this in some places, as a few people say, "Look, body is beautiful. What are you talking about?" Of course, we know what we're talking about, but at the same time, the practitioner, when we don't know the degree of the rejoicing or admiring some form, but not realizing how far does obsession is different from admiring or being kind and rejoicing form, but then the form is very misleading and often very, very deceptive. So therefore, it's not. That's why we don't say, even in conventional, we don't say beauty is in the object. We say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So when the mind is obsessed, it doesn't see any of this, and so the Shantideva, as a very strict monk in the monastics, among the monastics, who has to guard his mind from these things in order to guard the bodhicitta mind, and they become a very important factor of the subject and object of meditation. Verse number 62 moves on. First, with mind's imagination, shed the covering of the skin, and with the blade of wisdom, strip the flesh from off the bony frame. He's talking about now actually investigating what is it from the skin down to the marrows. What is it? So one actually goes to just look at yourself and therefore what it is that is there, that is in there. Firstly, look at the 7 layers of the skin, and then see whether any layer of the skin is you, or the self, or the color. So therefore, as soon as the skins are lifted, then there isn't any of the beauty that you were attracted to. That was the color, or that was the form, or there's no form that was in the skin that is under the skin, and so on. So even in this inner skin, even the second skin doesn't have the beauty of the first skin, and so on. Once you go beyond the seventh skin, it's already blood. So one should learn to, one should go to shed the covering and unpeel it, so to speak, by wisdom. Use your own intelligence, and therefore make a logical, fact-related understanding, and not therefore let the mind become besotted with appearance and form. And when you have divided all the bones, so of course when you're gone from the skin, you will meet flesh, and then with considerable blood in between, and then you will meet with the bone, because the bone is one which is actually holding things together. It's unplastered. If there was no bone, there is no flesh that is really beautiful. Flesh on its pretty runny. So therefore, look, divided on the bones, like 36 type of bones, 8 main bones, such as the shin bone and upper and lower arm and so on, and then everything. It's all the bones. The very skeleton is on which the flesh is plastered upon and covered up. And search right down amid the very marrow. You should look and ask question, where is the thingness to be found? So where is the self? Or where's the beauty? Or where's the form? Or where's the height? Or where is the stature or elegance? This way. So go and therefore, dissect the body, basically. Dissect the body. And being able to do that, of course, one knows that the body is just a composite of not just skin that is beautiful, but skin itself is not even not even visible by itself. By itself, it's just probably dry up like a little papadum. At least papadum is quite okay until it goes in the mouth. But the skin itself is not beautiful at all, not olive, not olive you thought it was, not fair you thought it was, not smooth you thought it was. When it hasn't got flesh to be plastered on or holding on, it hasn't got. And the flesh itself is even worse. and the bone and the marrow and so on. So attachment to one's form and the other person's body is completely based on this wrong view, as if there was something intrinsically there that actually is beautiful or elegant. So therefore one needs to pinpoint what we are really clinging to when we probe into its depth and the form itself. Because when you weigh it, it's not the skin that weighs 150 pounds. Skin probably weighs not even a couple of grams. It's the flesh alone is not the one. It's the bone, it's the liquid, and all of that. So there isn't anything. There's a right figure or right height or right weight or whatever. All these things are totally convoluted. There isn't anything in the weight, then anything in the height, anything in the color that is truly findable when it says, where is thingness to be found? Where is the thing that you really thought was? If persisting in the search, of course he has already helped us this much, you find no underlying object. There isn't anything. Why still cherish with such desire the fleshy form you now possess? So Shantideva is talking to himself. To himself, that not finding any underlying object doesn't mean that any of the outer form, like the nose or the earlobes or anything is some kind of independently desirable piece. If any of these are independently looking at it, you will not even dare to touch it. Only when it's a part of a whole you might think it is. But when you actually take part of the ear from the earlobe from the ear or ear from the head, there isn't anything that's worthy of actually desiring whatsoever. So this kind of creative assessment of one's body will enable the Bodhisattva because even though the skin, when it's not removed from the body, may look smooth and whatever, but it will soon become a sack, or it will soon become wrinkled. It will soon become not able to have much to hold in there. There's just in between the skin and the bone, there's just some tendons. There's not much there really. So even the beautiful thing that filled it previously, they just disappear. You thought it's going to stay there. It's totally not there. So when we get older, they talk about how the body becomes suffering of old age is because the body just proves itself how perishable, how weak, how untenable it is from the point of view. The color, it thins, the luster, it goes gray. Teeth, the beautiful, though they looked, they fall out. What's the point of beautiful thing that doesn't stay in its place? They fall out. But teeth are not beautiful when it's not in the mouth. The ear is not beautiful when it's not on the side of the head. Skin is not beautiful when it's got nothing in them. So therefore, visualize this continual change that your body, if not already, will eventually go through. Do not get attached to them, hey practitioner, and practice while you are strong and young, and do not delay and procrastinate the practice of Dharma while the body's inevitable weakness and aging and death is inevitable. Contemplate about the body in this way, then Bodhisattva will be able to develop detachment and from his excessive attachment and obsession considerably. So the Bodhisattva is not trying to self-loathe oneself and make oneself suffer, but try to raise the spirit and prioritize one's effort to benefit others by not become slave to this body, but use the body, feed it or clothe it or wash it for the purpose before it suffers in these situations. Verse number 65 goes to even further. Its filth you cannot eat, O mind. Its blood likewise is not for you to drink. Its innards too is unsuitable to suck. This body, what then will you make of it? So it's talking about how every part of the body, from the skin and the blood or whatever it is, it's not even edible to yourself. It's only edible to other beings. So there isn't anything that is there for oneself to become so So instead, he said, if it's not best for you, as second best, it may indeed be kept as food to feed the vulture and the fox. The value of this human form lies only in the way that it is used. So therefore, if the body is used to practice Dharma and do good with this, then it may be honored for what good it did. It may be venerated, it may be honored, it may be, but if not, it will soon end up as just a food for some other creatures. And so there isn't anything that is you, that is permanent, that is stable. It is just a food that is walking. We are walking food, basically, in the eyes of animals who are carnivorous. we are walking food for the shark. They don't see us as humans, I don't think. They'll see us as just a piece of food fell into the ocean. And so they don't quite see this beautiful human body. Anybody's leg is a delicious food. So amazing perception, isn't it? Amazing perception. we might be watching some our country's top sort of surfing on the water, and is seeing his performance and amazing. He's admiring his performance, but the shark, the fish, they see, oh, this silly piece of meat. They thought it was there, but it just disappeared. So therefore, it's good to know that we are not quite as what we think it is. We are just only food to be fed, if not a burden to the relatives. Who have to carry it, who have to pay huge money to bury it underground. So therefore, this body is inevitably is not what you think you are. It's going to be objects of suspicion and fear and anxiety. There is no holy bodies. People call holy body, but there's somebody holy we think die. We think it's holy, but when you're really left alone, you would not think it's holy. You're suspicious. Or we don't even allow cat or any animals go in the room where somebody died, because even cat would jump. So there isn't anything in the body, or that is the body that is actually worthy of guarding. Whatever you may do to guard and keep this body, what will you do when the Lord of Death, the ruthless, unrelenting, steals and throws it to the birds and dogs? So Shantideva was talking. You may spend all your time guarding in this way and keep it and so on, but eventually, there's no one, including you, who has a say, but the Lord of Death, who will just snatch you out of your job, out of your duty, surrounded by loved ones. No one even can have a single say, but he will snatch you and throw into the mouth of this. So what are you going to do then? So he's talking about inevitable. People feel robbed when they lose someone they love died. They feel robbed. Indeed, it's the nature of life is that no matter how much they guarded their body, or no matter how much we guard on their body, in the end, that the body becomes totally snatched and disappears. And I just couldn't believe it. It just totally disappears, and it's not to be seen on the surface of the earth. It's either drowned into the water, or buried underground, or burnt in a fire, or cut into pieces and given to the animals. So that's the story. There's no exaggeration. No exaggeration from Shantideva's part. You can see the size of the cemeteries that shows how many are buried. How many are buried, and they're all we lost. Basically, we are all lost to we could not say we have them. Nobody's there to be rejoiced or to be gone to talk to. So therefore, do not become do not become slave to it. Next verse goes to say, slaves unsuitable for work are not rewarded for supplies and clothing. This body, though you pamper it, will leave you. Why exhaust yourself with such great labor? So it's talking about how because when a person you hire to do your work, even if they do all of these things, we still don't give them clothing. We just give them hourly wage, and that's it. We don't clothe their body. We don't wash the body. Why are you continuing to do this? So Shantideva said, why are you always worried about what you put on the body on the cloth? Always obsessed with what your body needs. So Shantideva was talking about the people who are obsessed with themselves and all their time they go to wear and own or jewelries or clothing or whatever, that what was wasting so much time just to tie and wear or tie some things on the body, as if you are giving a kind of wage to the body for being the thankless, unthankful master. Unthankful master. Why you have to be such a slave who is honoring this body that doesn't give you any return? What are you doing this? So it's talking of prioritizing. Of course, we're not talking about neglecting the body or abusing the body. Buddha himself taught the purpose of practice of middle way. But Shantideva is always addressing to those who go into other extremes of indulgence for the body, and then not doing anything useful with the body, but becoming an obstacle for their spiritual practices, or even to those who they have responsibility to care for. Their body becomes first priority, and so they are not able to pay attention to the others, to the very thing. To pay, so pay this body due remuneration, but then be sure to make it work for you. But do not lavish everything on what will not bring perfect benefit. He says, if you really want the body to be sort of remunerated, make sure that it does some work, please. If you give him an hourly rate or whatever, annual wash or daily wash or whatever it is, make sure that it does do something useful, that it is returned for you, because otherwise you are not going to sort of reap much benefit later, you know. So therefore, whether it's food or medicine or whatever the bodily needs are, but he says draw a line to the body, and how much time you do spend on just in the body culture. Wow, people spend so many hours in the gym. They become life members or something. They become members of every gym there is in town. So they go, wherever there is a gym, they naturally go and put their head through it. and so become so obsessed with the body, and actual time sitting on the cushion or doing practices is not even a fraction of the time spent in the body culture. So this is talking about that. So we are not trying to denigrate the futility of the body, but we're talking about the distraction and pampering that goes onto it at the cost of one's true spiritual. Because karma that we create with it for the body is not left with the body. Karma will travel with the consciousness, and hence, so that's why they draw a line and make yourself, this is too much. I'm spending too much time in the physical culture, just the gym or whatever, or just going for all the temporal recreation things. When it comes to spiritual practice, then we're worried about the body. Then we're really protective of the body. Then they really think that the body, protecting the body would be some great advantageous thing. And the practice itself is not some kind of a risk, If we might do too much practice, then therefore practice might risk the body, as the body is otherwise preventable from such decay and old age. So Shantideva is genuinely giving this advice how not to be lazy and attached to the comfort of the temporal bodily comfort, to the long-term bliss and peace for the benefit of sentient beings. Buddha himself arduously put his body online, knowing that he had such bodies many lifetimes, and knowing that all of those lives has been nearly wasted each time, and knowing that this might be his last opportunity with the precious human, therefore he was able to quite happy to put online and not visit any single day to check his skin or check his color or check his this or that. Never obsess with the bodily, and totally let the elements be exposed, or let the body become completely exposed to the element, to teach whether or he's too attached to the body or he has some actual genuine interest to his spirituality. He used the harshness of the elements to wake him up, whether he's a slave to his body, or whether he can turn his mortal body into immortal Rupakaya. And so, with this in mind, one needs to therefore learn to relate to a body differently. Regard your body as a vessel, Shantideva says, not as something yourself. A simple boat for going here and there. Treat this as a vehicle. Treat this as something that is good for getting us from A to B, like a vehicle. Make of it as a wish-fulfilling gem to bring about the benefit of beings. So Shantideva, therefore, instead of self-loathing or denouncing the body, which he wasn't in his intent at all, he's saying use this as a precious boat. And a boat is only good to sail on the water, but no put sitting on a dry land and decorating. Unless there's some exhibit, there's always an exhibit going everywhere, an exhibition. Like the tallest men in the world get exhibited everywhere, wherever there's a world expo. He gets to travel free, but he's standing there, tallest man in the world. Even the tallest men will shrink one day. So therefore, use this body as a vehicle, and not as a something to become a slave of. So, if that case, then you can eat well, then you can do well. Use this as a way. Go to Dharma practices, do good things with the body, and make the body useful vehicle for finding and learning and studying and practicing Dharma. Then even if you eat well, even if you drink well, even if you do various other things, it actually sort of serves the purpose. Then it's good to repair the boat. Because it at least used for the thing that it's acquired for. Then of course it's good to have servicing every year or every 6 months, because it is what's the point of having a car that is never drivable? And yet it takes the most prime parking spot in your garage, and it can't drive even a mile. So yet you are always polishing it. Maybe it's a kind of antique or something. So therefore, talking about the body should be used as a vehicle, and a vehicle should be used regularly. Then it is useful. Otherwise, it's a burden. It's, I know someone who has a boat, and he has the boat on the bay, and he has to pay the money to boat just to anchor the boat there, every week, And if he doesn't go on sailing with some visitors, he feels that it's not used. He says, "Let's go with the boat. I got a boat there." Every time I go to Harvey Bay, Harry says, "Let's go." I say, "Why you want to take?" I'm not into. He says, "I don't. I want to feel my boat used." It's like that. Otherwise, the boat is just parked, and it's costing him every day, and it's actually getting him nowhere, and it's sitting there and no use. It's like that. A lot of our people's body is like that. They're just simply letting the boat to be parked and docked and paying a huge price. It's taking him nowhere. And so, not even a change in sight, not even a change of view, So if I practice the Dharma with the body, reasonably, with our body becoming a kind of a burden, then you have freedom of attachment to the body, but power to use it for the set purposes. And then it says, thus with free, untrammeled mind, put on a ever-smiling countenance. Now this particular verse is very significant, because it's now from here is talking about having belted oneself about the danger of obsessing the body, then seeing how to use it for one's own purposes, and how to use it for other people's purposes, and then make this as a useful thing. And rid yourself of scowling, wrathful frowns, and be a true and honest friend to all. So talking about one who is now kind of mindful of the body, then uses his body to train a right conduct. If you live in the body, then he says have the mindfulness had the mindfulness of have some kind of freedom, and let the mind itself have some kind of awareness of self, and therefore try to wear a very positive smile. Put on a ever smiling countenance, and do not, do not expose your felt difficult feelings straight away. Whatever upsetting you or difficult it is, don't try to show it to other people, but instead you should try to kindly and warmly and harmoniously, respectfully honor those people. So that's talking about, because quite a lot of mindfulness of person is they talk about behavior. The person whose certain emotions shows their face, pulls their face differently. And they don't realize it is affecting other people. Pulling the face. Even dogs wouldn't like person who's so therefore be mindful and have some freedom what kind of feelings you put on or emotion you put on, because it affects other people. Because our facial expressions or our language, our tone of voice or what we do has a huge consequences and impact on the people. Bodhisattva therefore must not let any wrath or aggression in his mind affect himself too much. If it's there, he should make sure that these are not expressed as soon as they arise. And it's nothing to do with people out there you're feeling. It's you just try to quell them within yourself. Because if somebody frowns on you or looks a very piercing look, and you just, well, he looked at me, people said. He looked at me. It was so threatening. And so a bodhisattva must therefore have some kind of calm control of his body while the skin is still holding on. While the skin is holding on. Make sure that those eyeballs are a little bit guarded by mindfulness of the body, mindful of the gaze of the eyes. And so bodhisattva should not make sure that he doesn't scowl or he doesn't threaten or he doesn't hurt or scorn people by where he make himself manifest. Ever smiling countenance. Maybe seem a bit extreme sometimes, from one extreme to the other. A friendly expression often makes people feel comfortable than the actual scowling or wrathful frowns. So it's talking about bodhisattva now. Now he has got mindfulness of the body. He's not dejecting himself with the body. He's using the body as a vehicle, So therefore he's now carrying passengers. Maybe have a nice smile and do a little bit thing to people, and then you become really mindfulness of your expressions. Physical, facial expression, and visual expression in particular, and eye contact's amazing. Eye is amazing expression. So the bodhisattva must be mindful of his own expressions. Behaving in a very tamed and peaceful manner. That's what bodhisattvas now try. Because he is in the body, he is able to use the body as a vehicle. Bodhisattva has to express selflessness, non-threatening, non-craving, non-desiring, non-disharmoniously, non-aggressively. So to overcome all the above, one has to therefore control oneself. Have some kind of freedom to control. The smile shouldn't be a kind of artificial smile that they train to air hostesses and those people. Actually, you can see they smile. They really don't mean it. They really don't like to smile because they really don't feel like smiling. It's their head all for morning. But they go like this, but you can see it is not a happy smile, it's a forced smile. You might have some robot greeting you, it would be nicer. So therefore, a bodhisattva must be very courteous, but at the same time, he must do it with very joyful, with a true joyful. So if bodhisattva were to manifest themselves tamed in front of the others, so that he is now using his body as a vehicle, as a tool to express kindness, to express comfort, to express that you care for them. To maybe it's a generosity. The way you looked and listened might be very, very, very reassuring. Yeah, that's what they say. Listen to the nectar of the Dharma. Just like a patient listening to the doctor's prescription. In those days, doctors never wrote prescription that is illegible. Nobody can read doctors' prescription, but they spoke very clearly. Oh, take this pill 3 times with warm meal or whatever. So the people have nowhere. So these days, sometimes I saw in some illiterate villagers when they give it the medicine. The medicine is also not in a traditional packets. They are just bare pills. Cut out the bottle and they give some newspaper made into a little packet, and they give. So on the side of the paper they write little crosses, and they actually have 3 rounds. 3 rounds means 3 times, and they have a cross between each of the circles. So means only 1, not 2 together. So that's all they have. So when people get a prescription from the doctor, they'll listen very carefully and amazing gratitude. And so in order to get well. And so we also bodhisattvas need to also attend to themselves, to others, as their being of some help or use to other people, so that they present their own presence and the way they pay attention and caringly present is actually deliberately benefit the other person. Makes the other feel comfortable. Not what you did, but how you did. That's the bodhisattva way of love. No, it's not sort of what you do, but how you do it. That kind of little consideration is what Shantideva was talking about. Do not act inconsiderately. See, that's exactly right. Because when one's facial expression or voice or whatever it is, bodhisattva must know this might be a bit inconsiderate to just someone who just walked into the door, or someone who knows nothing, or someone who has never been shown these things before. Move furniture and chairs so noisily around. Likewise, do not open doors with violence. Take pleasure in the practice of humility. So it's talking about how bodhisattva should now not only behave or smile in front of people, but even when he's working with inanimate object, whether it's a door or furniture or whatever, he must lift them or move them without much too noise, without too much screeching and noising and lifting and putting so hard on the floor. And even when you open the door, you should open the door very peacefully and mindfully. If the doors are screeching or making noise, put some oil on the hinges, and try to treat the even inanimate object with the due care and respect. And so in this way, the monks in the monasteries during the rainy season retreat have to commit staying indoors, and in fear of them walking over grass and therefore hurting insect. Even not insect, but at least the beauty of nature should allow to grow rather than people walking all over the place. So like that, be very, very thoughtful and mindful of inanimate object and things and path or whatever around, and so therefore be mindful of how one treats with how one does with things, even say utensils or cutleries or washing whatever, or just don't throw things, just put them nicely, open the bag peacefully, do things with great consideration. So that Shantideva is trying to implant mindfulness to himself and like-minded disciples or practitioners. How can he's just imagining, how can we teach people to be mindful? And next verse number 73, he uses analogies. Herons, cats, and burglars go silently and carefully. This is how they gain what they intend. And one who, this translation is a little wrong, and sages always behave likewise, should be sages. Sages, the practitioner, is not one who practices. It's called the wrong, she didn't quite get the word stupa, which means sage. So herons refers to seagulls or birds or cats or whatever. These are not sort of usually kind of your usual role models. But it's talking about, because they wanted to steal things. The burglar wanted to steal things. So in order to successfully do that, even burglars began to know how to be mindful. So Bodhisattva are the bigger burglar. he wanted to make sure that he can really snatch the selflessness, that he can really, this time, really do mindfully and not sort of selflessly, not selfishly. So he says, even though these three are not some normal role models, so some non-Buddhist scholars laughed at Shantideva's work by doing this verse. He said, "Oh, you Buddhists act like burglars." You are always stalking people. So people make laugh at those days. There are some scholars wrote about this because they take out of context, Of course, Buddha didn't mean, Shantideva didn't mean people should behave like burglars and become burglars. What it really means is just like if the burglars wanted to achieve their purpose, so they make sure that the unwanted people don't see them or hear them. Likewise, also you should not disturb people's peace or whatever, and therefore do it mindfully. And likewise, one should move properly in order to do. Always think that I want to do this, but is this the right time? Is this the right way to do it? Is there anybody here? Can I do this? It may not upset. It's talking about really consideration of neighborliness, and when you know that someone is not doing that, you know how really disruptive and how it is. Everybody sees differently from the other side of the fence, And so it's good to know that. And so Bodhisattva must be mindful of what one does. When useful admonitions come unasked, meaning when people do that to you, to those with skill in counseling their fellows, or maybe you are very good at giving advice to other people, welcome them with humble gratitude, Maybe someone is just being busybody, maybe looks like busybody. It doesn't concern him, but he's saying these things to you. You shouldn't do this and this, and telling you off. But one should just welcome them with humble gratitude. There doesn't mean you have to do everything, but just at least they may mean well. Bodhisattva who has a good intent always think of the other exactly what he thinks. When one is well-intending to, one always hears even criticism as a very good advice. So this talking about welcome them with humble gratitude, always strive to learn as a disciple from everyone. This is really important. And just don't put yourself above anybody. Just be a friend. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama said, when he see people, he never think of them as other and him as Dalai. He's just another human being. He's always take the kind of a robe or identity out. So when you, of course, nowadays everybody recognize him, so he has no chance of not treated like a Dalai Lama. But he always try not to feel that importance, and think that he's always seeing another brother or another sister, and that is I think that's very important, and therefore you will always learn something from everybody, even if they're putting down Buddhist. It's really good teachings. And nobody invites somebody. Most people invite you because they want to learn from you, And but if somebody does have some kind of admonition or reprimanding you, your Buddhist has been so peaceful, soldiers taking all the Christians away. Some people like that, of course nobody said these, of course, there was a time that most religious leaders didn't meet with Dalai Lama. They thought he was a bit of a threat, because he was winning so many admirers and followers everywhere, everywhere. Of course, nowadays everybody wants to share a platform with him, because they realize his holiness is complete humility, and humanity is so amazing currency of friendship to everyone, and now everybody wants him. He just, Indians amazing. Last 40, 50, 6 years he's all in India. They didn't learn anything from him. But last 10, 15 years, now they're starting to show interest. Indians, foreigners are flocking in Dharamsala, and they still didn't know what these people are following. And now, of course, now that even Indian universities, Indian establishments are, now everybody wants His Holiness, from small villages to big universities. They all want him, because he actually treated the mosque as a temple as he does his own temple. He went in there by observing what the Muslims would go by wearing this or whatever, or put a little white shawl on the shoulder or whatever on top of his robe. Never mind. Others would say, why the hell you want to put something on my robe? I will always want to wear my robe. His Holiness would put the thing on with the Jewish, he go to do these things, and this is exactly talking about, and welcome them with humble gratitude. The Bodhisattva's way of life is the selflessly, humbly treating others and strive to learn as a disciple from everyone. And not necessarily saying who is worthy of listening to, who is not worthy, and that kind of thing. And for a Bodhisattva is so due to his own humility. The humility is source of all learnings. Arrogance loses all the qualities, even if one has. So that's why the Bodhisattva's way of life. And sometimes you see these written beautifully, but who does it, When you see someone like His Holiness does it, then you can see that the action speaks louder, they say, And sometimes His Holiness these days, he's teaching something out of it. Everybody goes thinking, oh, what's he's teaching? They're really interested in the topic. But he doesn't even touch on the topic or text. But it doesn't matter. Just being in his presence just touches them, and they know exactly what it does, So he doesn't attract because of the topic. He attracts because of his action. Is truly what we're talking about here, as through humility, through true humanity, not just talking there should be religious tolerance, and actually doing it, actually tolerating and learning from others, and make sure that even the local mufti or local imam can share the table with Dalai Lama. Other people think they have some certain hierarchy. They only would meet person of such level, and otherwise they send somebody junior to greet or meet. His Holiness will go and greet and meet everyone as equals. This is what we're talking about, Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. Like Shantideva is writing here, and His Holiness Dalai Lama, he says that his main practice text is this text, Bodhisattva's way of life. And when even though he studied and practiced and learned this in Tibet, but he never knew the depth and the breadth and profundity of these texts until he really paid attention to it and learned from his unsung teacher called Kunu Rinpoche, who's an Indian Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist, but Indian from Ladakh, Kinau, who himself really lived among the in the gutters of Varanasi with the Hindu yogis who are half naked and half hungry and also smoking ganja, quite a few of them. so these Kunu Rinpoche mixed with them, mixed with them, lived with them, and nobody could see he's a Tibetan or Lama or anything like that, because Varanasi is so hot you can't wear any robes anywhere. You're basically half naked. You have to be, not because of religious pursuit, but it's the way they weren't allowed to put on anything. And His Holiness discovered this Kunu Rinpoche. He was a great Sanskritist, and he was very keen devotee of Bodhisattva's principles. The whole Bodhisattva, this very text. And so His Holiness got some direct experiential teaching from Kunu Rinpoche. This is in the early 70s. And then, of course, the whole. He always talks about his beautiful experience of these texts, and subsequently, of course, His Holiness wrote a special supplication, including the names of 17 Panditas of Nalanda. And then only Shantideva's name got promoted among the other 6 ornaments and 2 excellent. They usually 8 of them are considered very special, but Shantideva's name was never included among those 6 ornaments and 2 excellent Indian Mahapanditas from India, because mainly they were just like heavy, famous teachers like Nagarjuna and so on, great authors of big liturgical texts. But Shantideva's was most kind of relevant to the growing and warming of heart of everyone who learned, while the others are very important philosophical and doctrinal topics, but that which really steals the very essence of all the teachings is the very spirit of the Bodhisattva's way of life. So it is this text why taming and changing people, and by one person who changes himself through the spirit of this, then he or she, whenever they meet, people meet such a Bodhisattva who is living and training and breathing and thinking and behaving and talking and going and meeting people or parting people or learning from or sharing itself, filled with the very intent and conduct that is concordant with the spirit, of course will then all the benefits of bodhicitta mentioned in the first chapter are that which actually touches and inspires and befriends and makes people find hope in humanity when they truly find teachings and practices that are lived and practiced rather than believed and just theoretically studied and only academically. So that which really changes, matures one's heart and mind is the very behavior that actually does that. While Shantideva is therefore skillful in terms of how to learn to have the Bodhisattva always accept advice. This verse we just read is about being able to accept hard, unpalatable, unwanted, unsolicited advice. But Bodhisattva must accept them with great courtesy, thinking that this may be something really, really useful, if not straight away now, but maybe useful for later. For Bodhisattva have no pride and arrogance, saying, "Who the hell are you to give me advice?" type of thing, but rather behaving himself always as a disciple, as a student of life, not student of Buddhism who wouldn't learn from Hindus or Theravadins or non-believers or scientists, but treating all as someone who one can learn from. For Bodhisattva views, it is through only the sentient being that one's life would have meaningful existence, whether as a direct kind person or direct rival, or one who really put oneself down, or one who gives advice from one or another, directly or indirectly. Since it is only by and working with sentient being alone a bodhisattva has chance to progress, how could a bodhisattva forget to do that and reject anyone and not be a disciple, not be a willing student to accept, properly accepting advice? Not just sound looking good on the surface, deep down not interested. Not like that. We're talking about a bodhisattva has to be sincere, has to be like a gold that when you rub and test it, it stays gold. He has to test his intention, why he wanted to accept advice, why he's so courteous and humble. Is it because he's trying to impress others or in front of others so it looks good on him? No, exactly opposite. So that he truly believes that he has something to learn from everyone. So therefore, bodhisattva don't get threatened from anybody. Bodhisattva have no one who can threat. He's not attached to his body. His body may be used as a vessel to suffer, to purify karma, but he does not look down on anybody as a threat or cause of contempt. But he sees something he must always learn, because of even unasked admonition, meaning criticism, meaning picking on, putting down. In the teaching says accept all the blames. How could a bodhisattva progress if he doesn't accept blames? And so therefore, blame shouldn't be a kind of highlighter of mistakes. Blame should be one that wakes up from the mistakes we have failed to recognize it in ourselves. Bodhisattva sees someone who picks on your mistake is a great blessing. Even teachers can't do that much. So therefore, the beings who do pick on you is maybe not doing so with the ill intent. And Bodhisattva doesn't definitely think that way, because he has a training, how to behave, how to listen, how to accept criticism, how to accept counseling, how to accept admonitions, and with that willingness to be a disciple as a student. In every situation, So there is no time that he thinks I'm no longer a student. Bodhisattva never think of that. So that's a really important message here. And therefore, one needs to now rejoice every other situation. Praise all who speak the truth and say your words are excellent. So Bodhisattva now, that if somebody criticizes or put you down, and a bodhisattva says, thank you, thank you for telling me, because I'm often very unable to see my own faults. So he's actually telling the real truth. He's telling the real truth, and so thank you for your words are excellent. And I usually don't get it to see myself. I usually need a mirror to see my face, and you are telling me what's on my face without having to look in the mirror.
Really aggravate the person that is telling me a lot of things. If I thank the person for telling me these things, it would really aggravate this person.
Of course, yeah. You don't need to say that, So deep down, of course, you must think that. Of course, it wouldn't be received very well. So you probably don't say that. And when you notice others acting well, encourage them in terms of warm approval. So, talking about how to show compliment and gratefulness, because some people need encouragement and feedback. They call it feedback. You give a good feedback. A bodhisattva strive to be the one who gives them encouragement, to thank them, or to see they're okay, even though you might not be able to do much, but just checking they're okay, type of thing, because you're now delighting yourself by witnessing the good that people are doing. And then when you see the good people are doing and you really rejoice that, you wouldn't have a time to think otherwise by yourself. So therefore when you rejoice somebody, and then you are inspired by the goodness of others. And of course it's the bodhisattva's way of thinking, enabling you to see the good in others. Not that people lack good, but when you're thinking negative things, we keep seeing those instead. So therefore, what kind of mind is switched on? If we are in a bodhisattvic way of thinking, we will witness these things, and we will be able to say courteous, respectful, harmonious, encouraging words. And why? Now you have good teeth. Now you brush your teeth, so usually you look after the body, no problem. So Shantideva said, look after that boat. Now your boat is sailing. Now you're speaking kindly with a clean mouth. Now you can really say kind words. Otherwise, why brush teeth? Otherwise, why rinse the mouth? You might as well keep a very foul mouth, because that's what only it comes from it. Why have a clean mouth that doesn't really say good words? So, we're talking about the boat, If you look after the body as a boat, use it, If you clean it, if you service it, if you spend a lot of time, money for your den, for your teeth or whatever, just learn to speak kind words, That's more important. They say, instead of learning how to play a lot of musical instruments, just speak kind words, It's like that. And so here, being able to speak very courteously to benefit and delight each other by learning to rejoice each other. Extol them even in their absence. When they are praised by others, do the same. Do the same. But when the qualities they praise are yours, appreciate their skill in knowing qualities. And so therefore, it's talking about bodhisattvas learning to rejoice good qualities of others. And because they are able to, because they are, when there are good things, speak good things about people who are not there. And those people who are there may not know that good qualities. And they may have some contrary views of the person and say some good things about it that will completely tame their mind views. They'll slowly tame their views, and it'll help them to holding from the wrong kind of negative views. Amazing. Bodhisattva is so kind, so that the kind of good things are aired. If somebody is praising, then even though you don't know any of this praiseworthy of somebody, just nod the head. Just nod the head and agree. It makes everybody happy that everybody is agreeing somebody's good qualities. And that is a bodhisattva's way of life, And because you don't show any contempt and jealousy and envy to somebody, but you rejoice. And but if somebody is really generous in saying some qualities of you, then appreciate their knowing of it. And then, because you also are a beginner bodhisattva, you still need a little bit of positive feedback. So at least they know me, that's good. Maybe you can just keep that to yourself. I don't know why you were saying that all of a sudden. I thought it's going to get better and better. Not that it's coming down, but all of a sudden it becomes a little bit. Anyway, bodhisattva should be gentle with oneself, not always hard. Every now and then a little self-appraisal and self-encouragement is necessary. Oh, see? People also think good about it. See, did you not try that? See, you're now using the vehicle. See, everybody sees a nice vehicle. It can actually move. Now this vehicle has actually ferried people. That's good. Oh, I'm glad that I didn't just leave it on the dry sand. Oh, see, I'm now, even if this boat has to be left stranded on the other shore, at least I have taken some people on the other shore. So then you don't have to mourn when you have to part from this precious boat that you have acquired. So Bodhisattva is learning how to give some kind of little bit of self-encouragement. I think that's very important. See, bodhisattvas are not totally neglecting the self. Bodhisattva's interest to benefit of all sentient, including first person. How could he totally just ignore the first person? That's a bit masochistic. That's just a self-denial. It's not recommendable. recommended. Self-denial is not Bodhisattva's way of life, we have to be gentle to ourselves. We have to be, because others are only a perception, mirror of ourselves, So if we are very kind towards ourselves and very, very gentle with ourselves, we will be gentle with other people. And so when somebody does something, you can see, when you do this, it also encourages people. See, we are so mutually dependent, So if they are not exposed to people speaking kindly to others, they will not speak kindly. That's the whole thing. So if we speak kindly to them, next time they speak kindly, you can see you have influenced them. Then of course, you have basically extracted the good in them that's sitting there lamb, not coming out by themselves. So we are facilitators of the good that is in them. We just brought the sharpener. The blunt knife was there already. So it's not so much that we are trying to be skillful so that we become extraordinarily special. So even our skillfulness is to bring the good out of our other people. So then otherwise we will just try to show off the only bodhisattva in town type of thing. That would be a highly dangerous thing to have. I think the one who's intending bodhisattva sees one in everyone. I think that's exactly what he's talking about. You should see yourself as a student. Here Shantideva therefore addresses the difficulty we often have to accept compliments. Sometimes people have a difficult accepting compliments. Please don't thank me. They just can't stand it. They really want to do something that doesn't need to be complimented because they feel so guilty having not done many good things. All of a sudden they start to do things that people say thank you. They don't really. So therefore, if we accept somebody's kindness, and people realize, yes, kindness should be appreciated, Oh, they didn't realize it has such a profound effect to bring the good of the others. And so, without ourselves getting puffed up or too arrogant, you should see it's the goodness of other people. You should accept that. And you may lack the qualities. You may lack some of the qualities they're praising, but at least it's their qualities you are rejoicing. And so you realize, I have to do a bit more than the praise I'm receiving. See, it's really good, Then you don't think I deserve all this praise. They haven't sung at all, type of feeling. Actually, if they're praising me this much, then I need to do a bit more than that. They're very generous. They're so kind that I have done so little, but they think it's so great. Oh, people are so kind. And so you instead of difficult accepting compliment, you realize the generosity of other people. When you try a little bit, how much instantly get appreciated by people. We gather virtue by that. We don't gather virtue just like that, easily. It is due to various causes and conditions. We should feel we are touched by other people's kindness, that we are a movable person. We're not a rock. We're not like a tree, like he was saying a couple of weeks ago. We are human beings. We are moved. We are inspirable. We can be instilled by their goodness. And so therefore, other people's goodness is there, abundantly there, only if we are receptive. So don't feel guilty or think that you're not worthy of not receiving compliment of other people, because we have to also give other people a good merit of complimenting other people. I mean, if we can be the vessel, let them sail it. Maybe they need to practice some generosity of speech, because they also did the Bodhisattva's way of life study. So they also have to go and compliment to somebody. And so maybe we have to receive it, Of course, everybody is everybody's helper anyway. And so there wouldn't be anyone or any person from which every encounter is not beneficial. Every encounter is beneficial. That's the Bodhisattva prayer. May everyone who I meet, may there be meaningful meetings, meaningful than what it was on the surface. Maybe on the surface it was a kind of mundane, worldly thing. But if we have this good intent, what the Bodhisattva does, try to transform neutral activity into wholesome activities. Not just doing holy activities. Too many holy. Not quite popular. Within that sort of ordinary looking, they call ordinary mindfulness. Doing ordinary things, but have the intent still intact. Not having to do extraordinarily holy things and holy objects, just in difficult situations, but still haven't lost the plot of the good intent. Then the Bodhisattva has the ability to be touched and moved by others, and even by his or her little feeble effort, he can influence others. So I'll stop there. My pages also fell very gently. Okay, we read through the page, second page, the middle section of that, to imprint what we have been listening and thinking and contemplating, and may this reading goes to cement this impact of Shantideva's thoughts and blessings. In the spiritual energy that relieves the anguish of beings in misery and places depressed beings in eternal joy, I lift up my heart and rejoice. In the goodness producing illumination, I lift up my heart and rejoice. I rejoice the beings who have gained eternal liberation from suffering, and I rejoice in those attained to Buddhahood, as well as in their offsprings, the noble Bodhisattvas. In the ocean-like virtue of Bodhi mind that brings joy to all beings, and in accomplishing well-being of others, I lift up my heart and rejoice. To the Buddhas of the 10 directions, I join my hands in respect. Let blaze the light of Dharma's truth for the beings lost in darkness. To the Buddhas considering parinirvana, I join my hands in prayer. Do not abandoning beings of sorrow remain to teach for countless ages. May any spiritual energy thus generated by my devotion to the enlightened ones be dedicated to dispelling the misery of living beings without exception. As long as disease afflicts living beings, may I be the doctor, the medicine, also the nurse, who restore them to health. May I hold reign to increase the harvest that feeds the living beings. In ages of dire famine, may I myself serve as food and drink. May I be an unending treasury for those desperate and forlorn. May I manifest as what they may require, wish to have near them. My body, my possessions, and all goodness, past, present, future, without remorse I dedicate to the well-being of the world. Suffering is transcended by total surrender, and mind attains to nirvana. And as one day must all given up, why not dedicate it now for universal happiness? My bodily powers I dedicate to the well-being of that lives. Should anyone wish to kill, abuse, or beat me, the responsibility is there. Should anyone wish to ridicule me and make me an object of jest and scorn, why should I possibly care if I have dedicated myself to others? Let them do as they wish with me, so long as it does not harm them. May no one who encounters me have an insignificant contact, regardless whether those whom I meet respond towards me with anger or faith. May the mere act of hearing contribute to the fulfillment of their wishes. May the slander, harm, and all forms of abuse that anyone should direct towards me act as a cause of their enlightenment. May I be protector to the helpless, a guide to those traveling the path, both those wishing to cross over, or a bridge, or a raft. May I be land with those requiring it, a lamp with those in doubt. May I be home to the homeless, and a servant for the world. In order to fulfill the needs of beings, may I be a magical gem, and an exhaustive vase, a mystic spell, a cure, all medicine, a wish-granting tree. May I act as the mighty earth, or like the tree rolling out, to support and provide the space where there no grow. Until every being afflicted by pain has reached nirvana's shore, may I serve as a condition to encourage its progress and joy. Just as all previous bodhis give rise to precious bodhi-mind, and just as they carefully follow the stages of bodhisattva discipline, likewise for the sake of all sentient beings do I now myself generate the bodhi-mind, likewise will I train myself in the discipline of a bodhisattva. They who out of wisdom have seized the supreme mind, praise, glorify, rejoice in it, that it may grow to fulfillment. From today I reap the fruit of life, having well won the state of man. Today I am born in the Buddha family, and am now a child of the Buddhas. Thus in future I should make every effort to give the Bodhisattva ways, and never wish act of noble families. Like a blind man fumbling in a garbage, finds happen rare and precious gem. Likewise I have discovered the jewel of precious Bodhi-mind. Thus was found the supreme ambrosia to dispel, Lord of death, destroyer of life, an inexhaustible treasure able to cure the poverty of all sentient beings. It is the highest of medicine to quell the ills of living. It is tree giving shade to those wandering in paths of life. It is strong and mighty bridge by which can be crossed the misery. It is common to shine in the mind and clear away the pains of delusion. The Bodhi-mind is great radiant sun to dispel the darkness unknown. It is the very essence of butters gained from churning the milks of Dharma. For all guests on the roads of life who would take every sustenance joy. Here is the actual seat of true happiness, a veritable feast to satiate the world. Thus today, in the presence of the awakened ones, I invite every being into the festival, giving both immediate and lasting joy. May the gods and all others rejoice. Thank you.